Hey guys, what's going on? Blaine back for another Hulu review, and today I'm going to be talking about The Valet. The Valet is an American romantic comedy serving as a remake of the French film of the same name, and tells the story of Antonio Flores, a Los Angeles-based parking valet who unknowingly becomes the center of attention after being caught in a photo with a famous actress and her secret lover who also happens to be a married man. The actress Olivia Allen enlists Antonio's help to pose as her lover in order to cover up her secret relationship, so that she can avoid any bad publicity for her upcoming movie. While the two are initially awkward with each other, they start to become closer after spending enough time together, which raises complications for the other loves in their lives. I had to be honest and say that I had pretty low expectations going into this movie, but also that I did not expect to enjoy it as much as I did. It has some issues with how events proceed in its story, but it proved to be an uplifting, feel-good experience that goes against traditional rom-com conventions. I wasn't completely sold with Eugenio Derbez's performance as the male lead at first, but he eventually won me over. His awkward personality puts him at odds with everyone around him, rendering him almost invisible to even his own family at times, which makes him both a source of comedy and sympathy depending on the situation. He struggles with trying to prove his self-worth while fighting to make ends meet for his family, coupled with his less than pleasant interactions with his ex-wife. His everyman persona takes form over the course of the story, making him a relatable character that was easy to become attached to. Olivia Allen, who's played by Samara Weaving, was another excellent character. Whereas Antonio struggled with his servitude, Olivia deals with the pressures of fame. She finds it hard to connect with people on a personal level due to the nature of her job, and she finds herself lonely because of it. This makes her somewhat justified when she engages in an affair with the main antagonist of the story, as her insecurities become more evident over time. Her high-maintenance diva behavior also proved to be surprisingly funny, no doubt a consequence of having worked in Hollywood for so long, which also made it easy to become invested in her to see if she changed for the better. These two are complete opposites in terms of personality, and somehow they just work. Antonio is way out of his element when it comes to life in high society, and Olivia can't understand why he acts like a nervous wreck all the time, which makes for a lot of amusing banter between the two. But even though they come from different walks of life, they're able to find some commonality in the form of their current relationship problems, which I felt is what made the two work so well together. Both of their individual angles are portrayed realistically without any overblown drama, which made the story that much more enjoyable. On one hand, there's Antonio's ex Isabel, who tries to make ends meet as a Costco employee to help do what's best for their son. I liked how she wasn't necessarily bitter toward Antonio, more so that she was disappointed by his lack of initiative, and Antonio's missing what they had versus her increasing jealousy toward him dating Olivia made for an interesting dynamic. On the other hand, there's Olivia's lover Vincent, who wasn't quite as memorable of a character, but he still has his strong points. The filmmakers definitely had fun with him being an absolute snake, pretending to be in love with Olivia, going behind his wife's back, and gaslighting all the time so that he can get what he wants. I appreciate that their relationship never plays out as one might expect from a typical rom-com. They do bond over time and play it up in front of others, but the romance is very different behind the scenes. They didn't even kiss as much as I thought they were going to. They're more like a pair of lost souls who become kindred spirits in each other's company, which results in a friendship that's both casual and meaningful with some hiccups along the way. Both of them come to love each other without having to fall in love with each other, and they still end up being adorable anyway. Being that this is a romantic comedy, it's just as important to nail the comedy as it is for the romance, and thankfully it delivers on this front as well. Much of the humor centers around the awkwardness surrounding Antonio and Olivia's fake relationship, which finds Antonio becoming a celebrity in his own right due to him not exactly being a catch in comparison with his date. There were plenty of times that the two had me laughing out loud due to how different they are from each other. Olivia eats fine cuisine, while Antonio orders a burger instead. She doesn't enjoy seeing herself on screen, while Antonio dives into the theater experience and grabs as many free snacks as he can. The two have a lot of back and forth scenarios that were always fun to watch. They aren't the only funny characters in the movie either. Antonio has a good relationship with his fellow valets, all of whom have memorable personalities. Whether one of them keeps insisting to date Olivia's assistant, or the other takes forever to order a meal at a drive-thru, they all added to the fun. Antonio's mother was a big standout as well. Not only is she wholesome with how much she babies Antonio, but she even has a compelling romance arc of her own with his landlord, Mr. Kim. I did not expect it to be as heartfelt as it ended up being, and it added even more joy to the story. The movie in general has this warm and fuzzy feeling to it that makes it a pleasure to watch. Even when dramatic events do occur, it largely remains upbeat and easygoing, and doesn't linger too much into negativity for longer than it needs to. I think a lot of that has to do with its portrayal of Latin and Asian family cultures and how close everyone in the movie is because of them. There's a true sense of togetherness that's conveyed with all the partying, laughing, dancing, and celebrating. It's just a really happy story, which also serves to help Olivia realize what she truly needs to be happy in life. Now, there are some elements in the movie that aren't quite as developed as I would have liked. There's a bit of social commentary thrown into the mix regarding gentrification of neighborhoods and corporate overlords that I personally didn't care for, as it never had much to do with the ongoing narrative. It's rarely brought up, and when it is, it's more distracting than anything else. There's also a romance subplot that goes on between Antonio and this bike shop owner he's acquainted with that never really takes off. I didn't even realize the two had a thing going on until much later into the movie. It just never felt like it had much going for it in the grand scheme of things. Nonetheless, the movie is able to balance its central themes well in spite of its small shortcomings. Between Antonio's realization that he deserves more than what he gets and Olivia's search for true happiness, the pair have a degree of relatability that makes them both charming and entertaining for the audience. Overall, The Valet is an unexpectedly fun romantic comedy that has both heart and laughs for all to enjoy. If you like romantic comedies and you're looking for something to kick back and have fun with for a weekend date night, you should definitely check this one out. There were some parts of its story that I wish were handled better, but they never get in the way of the bigger picture. It's hard for me to believe I went into this being pessimistic at first, and it just goes to show you should never judge a book, or in this case a couple, by its cover. What did you think about this movie? Did you enjoy the way the romance played out between the lead characters, or were there parts of it that you think could have been done differently? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways guys, that's going to wrap up my review of The Valet. Thanks for watching this video, I hope you enjoyed it, and as always stay tuned for the next part, where next time I review the American comedy Jackass 4.5. Bye bye!